What is up, diehards? Wes Monell in the building for AWOL Sports with Paul Durfee, Dill Monell, Leo Holmes. We're hanging out talking NBA. We got the playoffs. We got some great players to talk about. Let's get straight to it. So, Leo, what's one thing you took from that series from either team? I know both teams have been in the postseason. A lot of people called the Miami Finals appearance a fluke because it was the bubble. I mean, uh, uh, aside from being a Butler fan and really respecting the Heat organization over the years, because I think they know how to build a team and they put some dogs out there all the time. I just love that. I'm a big Coach Bo fan. But as for you, um, what do you take away from that series uh, the most, I guess?
I mean, for me personally, the Boston Celtics, and this going, you can call it a stretch, call it whatever you want to call it, is what it is. This Boston Celtics team, if you really look at them, don't they remind you a lot of the 2014, 2015 Golden State Warriors? You've got a coaching change. The team's defense stepped up a bit more with the coaching change because they understood a few other aspects that maybe they weren't getting just with a different now setup here in. Tatum, that young budding star. You got the baby face right there. Steph at that time, babyface assassin, creating like just the media darling. Jalen Brown. I mean, he's not giving you the shot that Clay gives you, but his shot is definitely better than it was. Defensively, he guards all over the place. Smart giving you a lot of that Draymond Green type feel, getting Horford back. Doesn't it remind you a little bit about Bogut? It just feels a lot like that Golden State team. And this series against Miami, for me, it's a lot like what that Cleveland Golden State fight was when you really go to look at it.
Mm.
Because Tyler Hero, I mean, the kid is smooth with it. I'm not going to sit there and say he is this player, but when he gets in his bag, Tyler, he got a little bit of Kyrie to him. He'll create in some ways and do some things to make you go, dang, I didn't know you had that in you. Bam gives you just that big, that's a little bit undersized, can rebound, can stretch it out a bit. He's not giving you Kevin Love all the way to three, but I'm just saying you got to watch it a bit. This series it really reminds me of that Cavs versus Golden State, and the Celtics just look like young Golden State. We might be looking at the new regime to try to make a run and keep it going. Because, like all of you have mentioned, these Celtics teams have made runs. When Tatum was a rookie and Brown's second-year player, they're playing in the Eastern Conference Finals going to Game 7 against Bron, King of the East. And they ain't stepped back since. So that's what this series and that's what this team looks like to me.
That's an awesome parallel. I love that. That's a good one for all of us to think about and kind of to look out for as this series goes past. They're 2 games in right now, tied up at 1. So that's pretty cool. You give us something to look at moving forward. Dill, man, for a few years I thought Jaylen Brown was going to be the better player, the alpha over his teammate Jason Tatum. I thought it would happen. I buy the talent. There's still some rawness. I don't think it's premature at this point for me to kind of say, you know what? I think there's a nail in the coffin. I think Jason Tatum put a stamp on that. This is his squad. He is the alpha. He is the leader. I don't think it's going to be Jaylen Brown anymore, man. Not to put teammates against each other, but we compare. That's what we do. We rank, and you and I have talked about it countless times. Is that a done deal? Did Tatum seal this?
I think no questions, at least on my side there. And I think it's a good thing for the team as well, because nobody has to look around on the court and wonder who's going to be the guy taking that last shot. I'm sure, they'll be able to scheme it up for somebody else if they're hot that game, whatever, right? They're going to be able to adjust. They got obviously great coaching. That's why they are in the position that they're at this point. But yeah, I think it's great for them. Everyone knows, hey, they can recognize Tatum is becoming that guy in front of their eyes and continuing that and developing himself during the playoffs. And I think they are kind of a good complement. I did question their fit together as well, as far as, they kind of have some duplicity in their game, right? And kind of how Paul was talking about the James Harden and the Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons decision that they had to make there as far as like a primary ball handler. But I think they're playing off each other well now, and they have some balance on the roster. Again, they got some guys playing some big time minutes, maybe not as deep as a bench as you would like. But I think that combination of, hey, we know who our superstar is. It's okay that it's not Jaylen Brown. I know that was your guy. But yeah, I say it's a good thing that Tatum or one of them actually fulfilled this role. Now their team can continue to build around them and, just support them, continue to build.
True story. Nothing wrong with some clarity. Nothing wrong with some friendly competition either. I don't think it's over in Brown's mind. I think Brown still has high hopes for himself. But yeah, focusing in on this series, Paul, there's always these X factors, man. We know who the stars are, but it ain't just about that. Who are the X factors, one for each team in this series, from your perspective?
Well, just something I've noticed, the way Boston plays defense is in the third quarter tonight, they kind of let Butler go off a little bit. I think they always play this way against the Sixers too, and Embiid, they let them go one-on-one. They just don't want those other supporting guys to go off, so they guard the three-point line really well. And they just let, if Butler wants to go get his 30, 35, then they're going to let him do that. They just don't want those other guys to get them going. They don't want the Max Struess's to get his three-point shot going. They don't want, Hero to get himself going. So that's kind of the way they've played. And I think it's, it makes sense, because, when teams are really flowing, everyone's getting involved, the ball movement's crisp, all things like that. And when you get locked into those situations where you just kind of going one-on-one, like just ball watching, and Butler's going one-on-one against everyone, it's kind of like, you don't really get everyone involved and no one gets going. So I feel like that's a key for Miami, obviously, is those other people need to get going. Bam, even though they've moved on, he's really hasn't shown anything on offense this playoffs, and so he's kind of been fading off in that regard. But luckily Butler's obviously been able to carry the load. And then for Boston, they might be a little bit too 3-point heavy at times, but they got the shooters and they got the talent to do it, because they have guys like Smart and Brown and Tatum who can get to the rim and create for other guys to get open shots for those guys. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it as far as like the X factors, mostly for Miami, as far as if they want to get themselves back in the series now, as those other guys, especially Bam, I feel like needs to get going on offense.
That's exactly who I have for the Heat as their X factor. It's Bam. I mean, you can't show up game one, no Al Horford, and then go and ghost your team game two. Al Horford comes back, that's unacceptable. I do have in mind how they eliminated Boston a few years back. Bam had a great closeout game. He dominated. So I have that in the back of my head that he is capable of doing that against his team. A lot of the same roster, not a lot of roster turnover, but it's a different team with the different coach, the way they're playing on that defense. So, Leo, who do you think is an X factor for each of these teams, man, to try to get to that finals?
For me on Boston, I'm going to say Grant Williams, because his ability to guard multiple positions, his ability to stretch the court it's game changing. And for Miami, I go different from that. I don't think Bam needs to contribute on offense as much as they need him on defense, especially with the matchup that he's had to deal with in this postseason. I think it is somewhat one of the others, but it's health for Miami. I think getting Kyle Lowry back is going to be a major factor, because if they have to go through this series without Kyle Lowry at all, or if he does come back being a shell of himself, that's really going to limit them, because Jimmy can do point guard Jimmy, playoff Jimmy, whatever nicknames you want to give him, but they have a point guard for a reason. They were the best team in the East for a reason, with that point guard being there. So playing without your point guard is just a difficult task to do. So I think Kyle Lowry is definitely the X factor for Miami, and his health is going to be the biggest thing there.
Good stuff, man. So Dill, Paul, Leo, all of you chime in. Who is winning the Eastern Conference Finals? Boston or Miami?
Oh,
Gotta go
man.
Boston. I gotta go Boston.
Oh, it's Celtics. It's easy for me. That's an easy one.
Oh,
The
man.
only comment that I want to make is one that you guys addressed earlier, and I don't think like with the Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum of one being who's the alpha on the team, superstar. I don't think they have that type of situation, and it fit more, like I said, to the Golden State thing earlier. Of Tatum fits that Curry role of, hey, the media darling. It fits in great. That didn't make Clay any less of a guy. That didn't make him less of a leader on the team. It was just, hey, this shot or this position is for him. I love what they got going with Brown at this point, because now Brown just gets to play. He ain't got to worry about anything extra, and he gets to just flow. He's always kind of been that second guy. When he went to Cal, he wasn't the high recruit that was at Cal. They had another guy there with him, and they thought he was going to be better. Then he comes to Boston and like, oh, you're number 2 pick. You're going to be this. And then Tatum shows up the next year. He's always kind of had that. Keep that shit, and I love to see it.
I'm with you. I hope you're right. We've just seen a lot of good players team up and a lot of good teams in the past. And I don't know, man, maybe it's just a matter of time. Maybe that's what I'm betting on is just, it just happens. You get tired of who you're looking at, get tired of hearing the voice. So I guess that's where I'm kind of like playing the odds there. Not that I see it. I'm with you. I don't see it specifically, not on the court. They look cool. That I guess that's just a kind of my psychology looking at that situation. But I'm
I 100% get it. Everybody's not the Spurs. Everybody's not the Spurs that says, hey, we're just going to stay together and hang out.
It's so hard to do with the Spurs and the Warriors. It's so hard to replicate. So, I'm basically just playing those odds. But yeah, man, there's a team that they're going to play on the other side. I'm not with you, by the way. I'm going Miami. I'm a Jimmy Butler guy. I'm sticking with Jimmy all the way.
Me too. Okay.
It might take 7, whatever, but I just think I think Miami can stay poised. I don't think they'll get rattled. I don't necessarily trust Boston in the end, in the clutch. Like Marcus Smart is going to get the ball at the top in crunch time under 4 minutes, and I don't trust that guy with the ball in crunch time under 4 minutes. The only guy I trust on Boston in that situation is Jason Tatum, not even Jaylen Brown. So that's kind of the why. Tyler Herro, he's young. I get it. He's actually earned my trust in those situations. Then, Jimmy, he can do it. Cherry on top if Kyle Lowry returns to the series. I don't think they need him to win the series, but I do think they'll need him to win in the finals if they make it there.
It just feels like Miami is going to need Jimmy to be superhuman in order to win this series, because there's just no other consistent scoring on that team right now. And each night, it could be maybe Strus gets hot one night and they get some points from him. Maybe, Hero's been kind of solid, but Butler's been, 30 plus points every night. And then he's already got like some knee problems where he's got to like rest his knees in between each game because, he's got some inflammation or something. So it just feels like he's going to have to do too much. And I just don't feel like, I don't know if he can do it.
It's a fantastic point. Boston's usually viewed as a favorite. That's not new, and I'm used to them not coming through.
Hey, if I get another picture of Jimmy leaned up on the side, showing how tired he is after putting up a triple-double, I'll live with it. But I think that point you made is a beautiful point, but I think it works to Miami's favor. Because when you don't have the same guys always doing something, it becomes harder to defend. Like, you really don't know for Miami who coming on the court going to get the ball. Duncan Robinson barely played, but remember, this dude knocked down, 6 or 7 threes in the finals game? Like, they got dogs and everything ready to do it.
Hey, that's why they play the game. That's why we love the game, right? That old NBA slogan, I love this game. Exactly why.